Okay, good morning, everybody. Morning, yeah, well, sorry for a little delay there. Welcome to our Power to the Builders Sisense Overview webinar this morning. My name is Ciaran Kirk. I'm the General Manager with IMGS, and with me today is Aditya Dhote, who is our Data and Integration Engineer. Morning, Aditya.
Good morning, Ciaran.
So this morning we're going to give you an overview of Sisense. We're going to bring you through the product, and Aditya is going to give you a quick demonstration of some of the functionalities that you can do with Sisense. So with Sisense, we can actually we're seeing already in the BI market that there's big changes in the analytics market and a real change in how things are doing. So we're seeing over a 30 billion industry investment in analytics. So we're seeing a huge increase in the investment of companies in analytics, and it's the #1 priority for CEOs. We're also seeing increasing complexity of the data. 90% of all data has been created in the last 2 years, and over 8+ data sources are for every application. So there's huge data sources and huge data complexity with a massive data growth. We're also seeing the growth in the use of AI and AI cases, so for things like machine learning and predictive analytics. And we're also seeing the impact that where people who don't adopt BI, they aren't seeing any kind of performance and the data is not getting analyzed. We're also seeing a major move to the cloud. So we've got the hybrid on-prem and cloud approach, and now 96% of organizations are using the cloud in some way. And also, a lot of people now are trying to embed analytics into everything. So actually having analytics where you need to use them and not having just pure separate dashboards. So where does Sisense come into this world? Well, a lot of the modern self-service BI tools can provide really good ease and agility, but aren't able to handle large, complex data. And then what you do see with the legacy systems who have a big dependency on data warehouses, they're able to handle large, complex data, but not at an easy and agile approach. The power of Sisense is that we can provide the ease and agility while still being able to access the large, complex data sets. So the Sisense difference is on the build, we can simplify the complexity. So we have an elastic data hub and live and cache data options. So what that means is that we lower the total cost of ownership. With the data hub, we can store the data to improve performance and remove the need for large data warehouses or data mart projects. But where you have data in its source, we can actually take it as well. So we can use data in data warehouses, we can use data in files, and where we need to up the performance, we can use the Elastic Data Hub to up the performance for millions and millions of records without the need for additional database or server or extra costs. This means also we have an extreme agility on the building, being able to integrate and customize as needed. And with Sisense, a big part of the product is the ability to white label. So if you're an organization who is developing software or providing solutions and you want them to be branded under your own software label or under your own company label, you can do that with Sisense. And with Sisense, we provide a single stack approach. So you can do ETL and you can do customization. From a deployment point of view, the scalability of the system, because of the in-chip processing, means we can improve performance and not have the same overhead from building databases and data servers. It's a flexible deployment, so it can be private or managed cloud, on-premise, and it supports both Windows and Linux. But again, a big part of the BI boom now is to ensure that the analytics are still governed, that you're not going to be breaking things like GDPR by sharing data where you shouldn't be. So Sisense provide a full governed approach to how all the analytics is used, the role-level security and enterprise-grade governance. And then the impact of Sisense and the real win is in how we can do more than just dashboards. So one size does not fit all. And also AI is used throughout. So it supports everything in the analytics cycle, from proactive alerting of KPIs not being met to AI exploration. So while you may not have done your metadata or your data catalog, actually the AI tools in Sisense will help you identify relationships between your different data sets, which again makes your exploration a lot easier. And it provides a one-stop shop for all users, from novice to expert and everything in between. So that means anybody can use it, from using it for pervasive analytics to data explorers, to business users who want to do self-service without having to get the IT involved, to the rockstar business analysts, and also to developers. It's a one-stop shop. And again, as I said, we can support all your analytics needs. So it provides centralized dashboards, interactive response design, so again, on any device, and it's a self-service BI. As mentioned earlier on, we can white label these analytics, so you can go run under your own brand, and we can have pervasive, augmentative, and custom analytics. So really, however you want to have this, the analytic talks to Alexa and tells you that there's an issue, or calls another system. And again, Aditya is going to show some of this morning. And we can build these custom analytic apps. The Sisense architecture is pretty straightforward. So we can take data from anywhere. So from high performance databases, we can connect live, to taking in data from spreadsheets, web applications, relational databases, and even things like Hadoop and big data. Bringing that into the data hub, either from a live connection or through the Elastic Cube, and then out to our front-end applications, which can run on-prem, hybrid, cloud, in-hosted, or Linux or Windows. And then the solution can run on any device, desktop, mobile, and also connected applications and devices. And Sisense is the most modern cloud-native architecture, the only true native cloud end-to-end BI that can be deployed anywhere. So with it, the DevOps of agility, so we can use microservices for the application, Docker containers, Kubernetes, and it can be integrated with your best-of-breed tools. We have then provided a reduced total cost of ownership, because it can run on Linux. It can be optimized for the cloud data warehouses and lakes. So if you are using something like Snowflake, so Snowflake, you pay as you go and you pay as you use. So if you can use Sisense, where Sisense is really powerful with Snowflake, is it provides the ability to cut down on your Snowflake costs. So you can take advantage of the real power of Snowflake, which we are a partner of, but cut down on your monthly costs with Snowflake by optimizing how you use the Snowflake warehouse and cutting down on your compute costs in Snowflake. And again, through this, it is very easy to scale, and it means automated deployment, maintenance, and we can grow. So we use things like MemSQL, Amazon Redshift, and Google BigQuery. And as I mentioned already, a flexible deployment, whether it's private or public cloud, on-prem, managed cloud, or a single or multi-node cluster. You can build whatever way you want to deploy. The products then, we've got the core platform, which is the teams for exploring collaboration, the enterprise, and then the products. We have some add-ons, so Sisense Narratives, white label mobile if you want to build your own mobile apps, and Sisense Insight Miner if you want to do even more in-depth analysis. And then there's some developer toolkits, Alexa, Blocks, Bulb, and Chatbot, and again, Aditya will talk about that later on. And we also have the Sisense Labs where you can go out and build your own applications and do innovation. So BI is for teams and organizations. So with the solution, we can do business reporting, ad hoc analysis, interactive dashboards, mobile BI, Sisense everywhere, so we can integrate with other applications and devices, the advanced analytics, embedded, and the custom widgets and custom development. And just to repeat this, with Sisense, you can connect to anything. So again, we can make the most of your high-performance database investments with the live or cache data models for more flexibility to solve any problems. So again, being able to talk to SQL Server, Snowflake, SQL Azure, Amazon Redshift, Google BigQuery, and still connected to anything. So no need to change your underlying data. So you can see here, we can connect all the way to the database owners. We have APIs for custom connectivity if needed as well. So again, being able to connect things like MySQL, MongoDB, Redshift, but also the cloud-based applications like Salesforce, eBay. So being able to bring all this kind of data, web applications, spreadsheets, everything into the system. And a big powerful thing with Sisense is to mash up everything. So we have the easy to use user interface. We can combine more tables and more sources and define core business rules and expressions. And for those who love using a SQL like Aditya, you can use standard SQL for advanced capability. And again, as we said before, this allows you to connect both the data live and cached but it means you can have this incredible scale when you're bringing all this information together. And this mashup everything means we can leverage multiple data models in the same dashboard, combine live and cache data in the same view, and take the data from, again, the live and cache. So flexibility and agility for the data libraries drives consistency and choice. We have a drag and drop user interface, flexible design and layout options, and quick functions for time dimensions. And again, built-in statistical functions. And again, for the coders out there, we can integrate with OR as well. So really provides the best of both worlds. For the developers who want to really get down and dirty, they can do that through Sisense. But if you're just a business user, you can create your dashboards really easily as well. And we can explore deeper. Again, using AI, it's easy to drill into anywhere, and then use securely to deliver custom data views. And then we have what's called these pulse alerts. So in the system, you can set KPIs in your system. So if you're tracking revenue, if the revenue numbers drop, if you're tracking maintenance issues or customer calls, if you hit a certain level, the pulse alert will create a pulse and notify you through whatever protocol you want. So a really innovative way to bring the analytic to you, not you having to go to the analytic. And all the visualizations immediately respond to the user. And again, a big part of Sisense is the ability to embed out anywhere. So we can embed objects in portal and apps, deliver white labeled analytics and mobile app, and create custom functionality. And again, something for the developers, we have our JavaScript API, REST API, and iframes. So you can embed the Sisense analytics into your other applications, things like SharePoint, things like Salesforce, whatever system you're using, you can then integrate the analytic into it. And with Sisense Everywhere, we have this ability to have chatbots, Alexa, mobile, the flicker lamp, the possibilities around this. So being able to take the output of the analytic and put it into a device so people can consume it anywhere. The Alexa one is really brilliant. If you haven't seen the video before, you can actually just say to Alexa, okay, Alexa, tell me what my sales numbers are for this month. Tell me, Alexa, which customers are going to leave, what model am I going to run, and it'll give you the answers. So for CEOs, for executives, this is a great way to get into the analytics without having to spend the time sitting in dashboards. So I'm going to hand over to Aditya, who's going to bring you through a demonstration of the software.
Thanks, Ciaran, and good morning, everyone. So I'll start with data complexity, as Ciaran started, as to how the data is growing, and you are getting at least 8 sources for apps, and data is growing each day and every year as you move along. So starting from that, what I have is a schema or a data warehouse schema of AdventureWorks cycling database. So this is generally the data schema that we have in a warehouse, and usually business wants to analyze, if say I have a sales data with me, so if business wants to analyze, say, how much discounts we have given over the time, or is discounts really generating more sales or driving our sales. So business wants to answer these type of questions, but then if you have given data and schema like this, it's complex data and it's difficult to analyze. So we'll see how Sisense can help and how we can put Sisense into practice. So if you log into Sisense, what you get is a.
Sorry, just one thing. If anybody, I've got to say at the start of the session, if you have any questions, there is a question panel in the GoToMeeting, so please add your questions in, and then we'll come to them at the end. I know a couple have come in already, so what's got to say that? Sorry, Aditya.
That's all right, Ken. So as soon as you log into Sisense, so basically you can access the UI from any standard web browser. And since I am using the cloud version, so you'll see that the link would be something like HTTPS. But then if you have a desktop version, you'll still use web browser, but then you'll have your own local Sisense web server, which will be running this UI. So you don't really need to have internet connection there. So let's start with these tabs. So we'll have usually 4 tabs: data, analytics, pulse, and admin. And based on the level of access you have, so definitely you can define what level of access to be given to each individual. And based on that, you might see any one or all of the tabs. So let's start with data, and as Ciaran already kind of briefed about what elastic cubes are, I'll just go small into technicality. And so elastic cubes is Sisense proprietary database, which is fast. It is an analytical database, and it also supports AVX, which is advanced vector extension. So what it does is it kind of expands your 128-bit SIMD instruction set to 256-bit. So what it does is it basically gives you, it improves parallel performance if you are doing aggregations or, integer calculations. And also Sisense uses in-chip technology, so the data is churned in RAM, and then it cache it smartly so that the load time is less, and that's why how the Sisense is able to churn terabytes of data without any lag. So that makes it easy to analyze the data. So let's start and create a elastic cube. So I'll name it as cycling sales. Save it. And now I'll add the data to my elastic cube, and there are multiple options or multiple sources from which you can get the data into Sisense. But since my data is in CSV file, so I'll just select CSV, and these are the two files that I want to work upon. So one is sales order detail, and the other one is product data. So let's get into the elastic cube, and I'll just select it, and we can also preview the data while we are getting it. So what we have is we have sales order ID, child order ID, or the sub ID, and then the order date, what was the quantity ordered, what was the product ID in that order, and the unit price and the discount and other details. And we'll quickly see what's there in the product CSV. So what we have is product ID, product name, and then if that product has a product subcategory and product category. So these are the two data sets that we'll be working briefly. And what I have is I have this product ID in product CSV file, which is also in sales order detail CSV, so it also has a product ID. So that's why I will put a small, we'll put a join and see how we can join them and mash up data in elastic cube. So once we have these CSV files and schema in it, so if you click on any of the circle on left hand side, you can see that what columns we have, and also these little tags tell us the type of data that they contain. For example, the name holds text data, and modified date will be date type, and if we see the sales order detail table as well, so what we have is order date in pretty date time format. So Sisense automatically figures out the date time, and
that's some semantic analysis on the data.
Yeah, so system does it. So for example, if you have country type or nation names coming in, so it automatically identifies it so that visualizing them becomes easier. So let's quickly do some cleanup before we dig into analytics part. So let's rename it to dim product. So since this will be my dimension table, and I'll just rename it to fact sales order, because this table holds the fact data or the summarized data on orders made and holds a single truth. Now let's see what else we can do in elastic cube, how we can mash up the data. So let's delete some of the tables, or some of the columns, or drop some of the columns. For example, I don't need product number, so we'll just drop them.
So that's dropped from inside BI, but the original source data is left alone.
Yes, so source data is left alone, but what we are doing is we don't want them here, so we don't want our analytics to be messy, or we don't want redundant data or the data which we don't want. So again, it's kind of an ETL cleanup that you can perform. It will also make your elastic cube an analytics much faster because you are not getting the data that you don't want.
Exactly.
So let's delete it. So I'm just dropping it. So again, as Ciaran mentioned, so you are not dropping it from source, you are just dropping it from your Elastic Cube. So,
and if you come back next week and run the analytic, it'll remember all these changes.
Yes,
and
definitely.
If the CSV source has changed, it'll pick up the data and pick up the data.
Yeah, you just need to create the build that I'm going to show later on.
Okay.
And so let's delete special offer, drop special offer ID from fetch sales order table. And so what I'll do is, let's now build it. So now what build is that, as of now, what we have done is we have these two source with us and the schema with us, but we don't have actually really got the data into Elastic Cube. So what build does is basically build, kind of finalizes your schema and get the data into Elastic Cube. So every time you run an analytics, you have to have a build generated so that you get the fresh data or the the latest data from your source into Elastic Cube and then you visualize. So now there are two types of build that you can have. One is replace all and then the changes only. So changes only is where Sisense automatically identifies if any schema has changed, any column has been added or column has been dropped. So only data relevant to those columns or table will be brought in. So the build is much faster. You get the data into Sisense much faster. Or if it's completely it's completely a new build, it's a fresh one, then definitely you need to replace all so that you get the fresh data or the initial data in your Elastic Cube. You can see here that now a build is getting run and the data is getting in and the schema is getting finalized. So we have got around 121,000 rows and that we are going to analyze.
And we're doing here, we're building an Elastic Cube, so it's the cached option, not the live option. And if we went with the live option, then the analytic would just pick the data up without having to be refreshed.
Yeah,
okay.
And that's why, and that's when you mentioned that you can cut down the CTO cost. That's where it comes in, because you have the data in the Elastic Cube.
Yes, and you're improving performance.
And then if you are doing the live connection, so every time the data is getting from your Snowflake account, so you are running a query, that means you are consuming your focus on the That's what the difference is, getting it done in Elastic Cube against the live. So now let's quickly review the data that we have just gotten. So this is the fetch sales order data that we have now. So what we have is unit price discount that we have, and the line total is the total revenue that was generated for that order. But what we can also do is we can create a column, or we can perform mashup or perform aggregation even before we go to the analytics page. So let's say I want to find out the total discount that is given for a particular order. So I'll just create a new column called discount total. So on the left hand side you can see that you get options to work upon your fields or tables and then perform functions, quick functions like date functions and mathematical functions. So I know that if I have my order quantity and if I multiply it with basically unit price, so I get the I have put an order date extra. So if I multiply it with unit price, I get the revenue. But then if I multiply it with unit price discount, I get the discount given on that particular order. We can also preview it before you finalize anything or before you finalize any column. You can also preview it in Sisense. So you can see that this is the discount given for that particular order. So we'll save it. So now we have a column which also tells us that how much discount we have given.
So we're in essence doing data preparation.
Yes, before getting into the analytics.
Yes.
So,
very good.
And Ciaran also mentioned in one of the slides that you can perform quick date calculations as well. So let's see one of that as well. So I have order date with me. I'll create a new order date, and since my data is pretty old, so I just want to for the relevancy, let's add few years to our order date time so that it looks relevant. So what I have is, you can see that you have quick functions in date and time where you can add years to the date that you have. So let's add years to my field, which is order date, and let's add 3 years. And if we preview it, so what you can see that the order date that we had was 2011, but the new order date would be 2014. So just for the relevancy, I have added it. But then the idea is that there are different functions that you can use on your data. So, and you can mesh up your data easily so that you can analyze it the way you want.
Yes.
So let's save it as well.
So it's cutting down that state. A lot of analysts spend a lot of time massaging data, trying to improve data from different data sets. You can actually join the data and then start doing your data preparation here in the product.
Definitely. So now our data is almost ready. So what we'll do is we'll just join these two tables or two data sets together. So what you can do is you can just drag a circle and put on top of it. So what it does is, on left hand side you can see that a panel pops up and it asks you to just select the keys on which you want to join these tables. So I have product ID in DIM product table, and sales product table has product ID. So let's join these table on product ID column, and you can also preview it. So again, so it becomes really easy to to kind of see the results before you kind of analyze anything. For example, you can see here that so this is product ID from DIM product table, and this is product ID from spec sales table, and now you are joining these two keys, and then the data on both of the other sides are kind of the one that has been joined. So we'll just finalize it. So now what we have is, we have our small relational structure and data set ready. So again, we'll just do a final build before we move on to analytics. So now again, so we have kind of created new column. We have got new data in terms of unit discount and new order date. So we are just finalizing it. So again, during the build, the Elastic you will finalize the schema and get the data or the content from the source, which is new, and populate in Elastic Cube. Now our build is complete. Now we can perform our analytics using the data that we have in our Elastic Cube. So I'll jump on to my analytics tab, and let's create a dashboard. So you can see that this is the data source that we want to use, cycling sales, and just name our dashboard as cycling sales. So now your dashboard, what dashboard is? So dashboards have multiple widgets. It's a collection of widgets, and what widgets are is basically the analytics or the visualization of the data that you have done. So there are different widgets that you can select from to analyze the data. So let's select data. We'll start with a small and unit visualization, and we'll just summarize our unit price. We'll create a indicator widget, and we'll just want to say analyze the total revenue that we have generated so far. So in my fact sales, so again, you can see here that this DIM product and fact sales order, these are the two tables that we have massaged and created just on the Elastic Cube, which is available for us to use. So I'll just select line total here, which will kind of give me the summation of the total revenue that we have made over the years. And if you click on advanced configuration, you can see on the left panel, this is the indicator widget that Sisense basically automatically identifies the type of widget which kind of suits the data that you have selected. You can definitely change it from the way you want, so there are multiple widgets that you can use, but then Sisense automatically identifies and gives you an option as well. So let's see what else we can do on left hand side. If you can, we know that our type is currency, so let's make it to 2 decimal places and put a $sign before our amount. So we now have a pretty visualized 109 million revenue. And you can also change colors. Now these colors are conditional as well, based on certain conditions. If you want to, if revenue is falling down, you want to make it red, if something like that. But then let's with the brown color, which I like. And then on right hand side, you can see that there are certain design elements that you can add into your widget if you like, and you can put skin or basically alignment of text which suits your visualization. So we'll just keep it simple here and just change the heading to total revenue, and we'll kind of finalize this widget. So now you can see that our dashboard is taking place, and what we have is our first widget created already. So let's go back again, and I'll edit the same widget. What you can see is that you can add another value to this widget, which is called secondary one. So let's add another value, but this time we'll perform some operation, and So as I have shown you that even in Elastic Cube you can perform operations and mesh up data, but here as well you can perform operations, and there are functions that you can use to perform aggregations, average, and then these are all statistical analysis that you can do on your data set as well. So what I'll do here is I just want to find out the what's the average revenue generated per order. So again, I'll get my line sum of revenue that we have as of over the years, and I'll just divide it by the total number of distinct orders that have been placed. So remember, I showed you that we have sales order ID, which is the unique identifier for order. So I'll just click on more, and from here you can select how you want to get the sales order ID into this function. So I want to count all. So basically, it will count all the instances of all the unique instances of order placed over the period. And so now this function, you can also name this function. So I'm just starring it and say average revenue per order. Now this becomes your formula, and kind of it stays with average revenue per order. So we'll save it, and now this becomes your function, and now this function will be available for you for if you are creating further widgets as well. So it kind of becomes easy that you can perform, if you have performed some complex calculations and you want that data further down the line, so you can just use the functions and you can save them for later use. So you can see that what we have as a secondary value is average revenue per order, which is again $905. So I'll just kind of quickly format it so that we have standard naming convention across values. So now we have almost widget ready, and you can see that it didn't take much time. It was quick and it was easy to analyze and create a widget. Now let's create a line graph, to visualize the revenue over the year. So again, as I told you that you can select different widgets that you can create, but we'll do a line chart, and in values, okay, let's select the x-axis first. So what I'm doing is, let's select our order date, which we created using the quick function, and added 3 years to the original order date we had. But not only that, you can see that as of now what we have in x-axis as years, but let's see, we want to change it to quarters. So you can see that quickly and easily you have quarters here. Now we'll aggregate it by value. So we'll say we'll put total revenue here. You can see that now we have a pretty graph of quarterly revenue, that is from 2014 till 2017. Again, on right hand side, we can design certain elements. For example, we can put value labels here. We can also have markers so that it's kind of easy to analyze. We'll just pretty format these markers as well. We'll remove the grid lines because so that we can have a clean visualization. Not only that, we can also add another line to it. So remember, we also calculated discounts that were given on the sales that we made. So we have just quickly added it, and you can see that these are the discounts that we have given. Now you can see that there's also an option to go logarithmic. So we'll change the scale to logarithmic so that you know the difference between the revenue and the discounts are kind of relatable, and we can you know, form an analysis, or we can basically analyze our sales based on the discounts that we have given. So you can see that let's apply and finalize this widget. So now we have two widgets, and we have seen you know, in brief as to how we have come from just a complex set of data set and a schema where we wanted to kind of you know, analyze where the discounts are driving sales or not, to operative visualization where we can understand that you know, even though we are offering discounts at various in various quarters, there are few discounts are offered at greater price or few were at less, but then our sales are kind of still stagnant. So these kind of you know, questions are kind of get easy to answer once you have once you can analyze it.
The answer is we just shouldn't give discounts to our customers. The revenue will stay the same no matter what.
Yeah, so I think you're right. So I'll
have a word with the sales team. Yeah.
So this is these are the two widgets that we created. Now I'll go back to my home page, and I'll just show you a final dashboard that I created yesterday, which has kind of more data and more widgets to it. So you can see that we can quickly transform our data into a visualization and dashboard that we can share with our stakeholders and then analyze further. For example, we can also drill down if I click on this button. So what I have is what sales were generated in third quarter in 2013, and what was the revenue, what was total orders placed, and everything according to the filters that we have placed here. So, and one more thing that I want to add is what makes Sisense kind of more developer friendly is the embedded part that that Ciaran mentioned earlier. So if I can show you quickly, what we have here is I can also you know, modify my script, or basically I can put a small JavaScript method or functions to modify my dashboard. So what Sisense provides is two types of JavaScript editors, one at dashboard level and one at widget level, where you can write your custom JavaScript code to you know, modify your elements of your widgets and dashboard. So basically you can white label Sisense, you can completely transform the way your dashboard looks and personalize it to the look and feel you like. Not only that, you can also create your plugins or widgets which are JavaScript based, and then you can get those plugins into your dashboard. So what I have here is a simple JavaScript code that I have written, and what I'm doing is I have a dashboard method, and I'm passing you know, what type of font, what type of weight I want to give to my dashboard or widget headers. If I go back to my sales dashboard, you can see that these widget headers are, as of now, these are just plain text. Now I have changed the type of it to go black and go bold in texture. So if I refresh it, so you can see that they should change, and you can see that these titles have gone bold. So now the idea is that you can embed your JavaScript, and you can not only at dashboard level, but at widget level as well. And again, you can get your JavaScript plugins as well. So you can completely white label Sisense, and if there is any specific JavaScript component or anything that you like, you can just put in to have it.
Yeah, so and naturally, yeah, so for branding, then people can apply their own colors, their own themes, their own styles. So
definitely.
yeah, so if we wanted to have an IMGS page here, we could have blues and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, that's
definitely. For example, you might have a pivot table which is specific to your organization, and you want to highlight certain values. You can just create a and just highlight those values.
So very sensible, yeah.
And just last, before I finish off, I'll just quickly show that you can add certain widgets to your Pulse alerting system as well. So if I click on a widget and I can add to Pulse. So for example, if orders placed is less than or below threshold, so I know that something is wrong. For example, I have placed our company has placed 20,000 orders as of now. So if I put a threshold that if in next report, if I get anything less than 20,000, that means something is wrong with my business. So you can just simply add it to Pulse, and what you can get is you can get notified if the threshold is below 20,000. So I think these are some of the basics of Sisense that I've shown, but then there are more to it, like Sisense blocks and Sisense HUDs. But I think
that's good. That's very good. Let's do it like that.
So today, and I'll just give back control to Ciaran now.
Thanks, Aditya. That's excellent. Again, we're just about coming up to the end of the time, so it was great to get all that covered in that short time. So just for anybody who's new to Sisense, they have over 2,000 customers worldwide, 186 countries. They're very well funded. Actually, there was 100 million research funding given in the last month. They're on the Gartner, Forbes and Forrester quadrants and all this kind of stuff. They have a global presence, so they're in New York. Actually, it doesn't mention London yet. London and naturally Tel Aviv and Arizona, and Melbourne and Tokyo, and over 700 employees, and a really strong customer base. So you can see some of the brand names jumping out there. So in the financial industry, the one that I think is the greatest example is NASDAQ. So you mightn't be aware, but NASDAQ actually, as well as being the stock exchange, have their own software which is used in the stock exchange, and they sell that software to other stock and gaming exchanges. So, and in it, the analytics is actually done white labeled under NASDAQ's brand, but done by Sisense. So with Sisense, if you invest in Sisense, your time to value and business agility is agile and flexible. So we mean get up and running in hours and days rather than weeks and months. And you've seen that this morning, with Aditya's presentation, with the ability to do the data prep up front in the BI tool, with the ability to mash up and also improve the performance of large data sets without having to do big data warehouse projects. It provides the lowest total cost of ownership at scale, so we can grow up, and it's future-proof because with the API first approach and in-chip scalability ensures that Sisense can meet your needs today and in the future. So I think do we have one question, Tanya?
Yeah, question has just come in there. What are the advantages of Sisense over Looker?
Good question, actually. So Looker, both Looker and Sisense are really good when it comes to large data sets, and both would be considered enterprise platforms and enterprise BIs. The big thing I think with we would see anyway with Sisense over Looker is that with the in-chip memory, with the Elastic Cube, we don't have the dependency on a large data warehouse being used in the application. So I think a lot of the data warehouse companies are very close to Looker, so Snowflake and Oracle and these guys, because it means when you buy Looker, you have to buy a good data warehouse and put a lot of money into that. With Sisense, you don't have those costs. With the Sisense model, we also, if you've seen this morning, we provide self-service and the ability to do the kind of set data prep, the analysis, all in the product. So again, the business users can get the data faster. Where I think with a Looker, a lot of that data preparation, and they don't really have the self-service capabilities. So I think that pretty much covers. Unless Aditya, you've anything else to add?
No, from my experience, I can say that Looker is kind of good, when it comes to conceptualize, modelize, and build build thing and with the ETL part. But it's not that strong when it comes to analyze and exploring the space where Sisense within chip technology, so you can mesh up large amount of data. But then visualization part is kind of bit, I'd say it's bit advanced in Sisense as compared to Looker.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Okay, all right. I think we're just about on time, maybe a couple of minutes late. I hope you enjoyed this morning's session. As you can see, we're really excited about Sisense. It fits in with our data intelligence platform. So we have an ETL data governance platform in Talend, and we're also a Snowflake partner, so we can host your data in the data warehouse where you need it. And now with Sisense, we have a really advanced business intelligence and visualization platform. If you'd like any more information, please reach out to us, and we'd be happy to follow up. So thanks to Tanya and Aditya for their support this morning, and thank you, and hope you have a good day.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.